here's your wrestling news for June 20th, 2021. And your headlines for today include WWE's plan for Roman Reigns' storyline at Hell in a Cell. WWE locks down new Roman Reigns nickname. Released WWE superstar is entering into the boxing world. Bobby Lashley pitches WWE Summerslam 2021 opponents other than Brock Lesnar. Vickie Guerrero set for in-ring return for last AEW Dynamite in June. Sonny breaks silence following release after a year in prison. Zelina Vega hints at AEW interest. WWE fails to crack 2 million viewers with Universal title Hell in a Cell match on Smackdown. Karrion Kross getting fast-tracked to WWE main roster will be present on Smackdown next week. Boxer pulls off epic Macho Man Randy Savage cosplay during entrance, and more. We are kicking off today with this week's Smackdown, where Roman Reigns retained his Universal title in the show's first ever Hell in a Cell match. Reigns' Hell in a Cell win was meant to happen at tonight's pay-per-view, but now the head of the table will have the night off. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said WWE has zero plans of having Reigns compete or even progressing any storyline featuring him or the Usos, so don't expect to see the Tribal Chief or anyone from his family during tonight's broadcast. Since returning to WWE last August, Reigns has called himself the head of the table, and now that accolade is official with WWE. Heel by Nature reports that WWE registered a trademark for head of the table on June 15th, an interesting time to file the paperwork, considering that Reigns has been calling himself the head of the table for months. Though the term can now be used on merchandise, don't expect to see it on any tableware, and after using the phrase heavily for the past few months, WWE now officially owns the term. Now, Lars Sullivan had a lot of potential, but after a series of injuries and controversies, the Freak was released from WWE last January. Since then, Sullivan hasn't appeared in any other promotion, but he is looking at entering a much different ring. Fightful Select reports that Sullivan is training to be a boxer and is open to capitalizing on his past as a WWE superstar to get a leg up on the competition. At this point, Sullivan is in the early stages of training, but is diving in headfirst to see how he progresses, and is already open to taking a fight down the line. It was in February that it was reported that Sullivan is looking to work for a bare-knuckle fighting promotion, and whilst he's still a long way from that goal, fans shouldn't be too surprised if Sullivan enters the ring as part of the increasing number of fighter versus celebrity gimmick matches. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson know what it means to make it outside WWE, as the pair have worked with AEW and Impact and are now returning to New Japan. It's been confirmed that the pair will face Clark Connors and TJP in New Japan's Tag Team Turbulence in July, which will be the Good Brothers' first appearance for the company since February 2016. After being released from WWE last year, the pair made it clear that they weren't finished with New Japan, and though it took some time, the three-time IWGP Tag Team Champions will be back very soon. Back to WWE, and Bobby Lashley returned to the company in 2018 in the hopes of facing off against Brock Lesnar, though that match hasn't happened yet. With Lesnar no longer in WWE, this dream match won't be happening anytime soon, but there's still a lot of people for Lashley to face before the Beast's return. Speaking to Fightful, the almighty WWE champion discussed some superstars he could face at SummerSlam, given that the Lesnar match isn't happening. As he said, "Everybody says Brock Lesnar, but there are so many guys at the top right now. Someone said Damian Priest, and that's not the first person I thought about, but you have to take him in consideration. Randy Orton, Riddle, Morrison, Elias, Riker, The Fiend, Keith Lee, you have to take them in consideration. There are so many guys, I don't know where some of these guys are at right now, but there are a lot of guys that are making big moves. The next few weeks really dictate who wants to step up. You have Money in the Bank, and you have guys that are right there." Before SummerSlam, Lashley will face Drew McIntyre tonight, and should he lose, the Scottish superstar will never get another WWE title opportunity whilst Lashley is champion. Tonight's show will mark McIntyre's third straight pay-per-view title opportunity since losing the gold at Fastlane, and in the interview, Lashley said Drew is obviously the number 2 superstar on Raw because no one is beating him. The Almighty added that he's excited to see who steps up to be the second top superstar on Raw after tonight's show. Lashley is expected to win tonight, meaning Drew will have to step away from the title hunt, and we'll have to see who takes his place as the Almighty's next challenger. Over to AEW as Vickie Guerrero is set for an in-ring return on the final episode of Dynamite in June. On the June 30th show, Vickie will team up with Nyla Rose to face Britt Baker and Rebel, and it'll be interesting to see how Vickie fares in her first match in an AEW ring. We've got news from Sunny, aka Tammy Sytch, next, as the WWE Hall of Famer has spent the last year behind bars, which came after a previous stint in jail. Now, the former WWE diva is out, and in a statement to WrestleZone, she spoke about her plans for the future, saying, "I'm happy to be finished with my sentence, and I'm anxious to start the next chapter of my life. I am healthy and happy and feel great. The incident which led to this last incarceration stemmed from some major misunderstandings. However, I accept responsibility and have used this time to make a better me and put my past mistakes behind me." Sunny added that she's hoping to spend her time looking after her mother, who's in a care home, and thanked her mom, sister, and all those who have supported her for the past year. Spending a year behind bars, Tammy Sytch missed some major events in the world, and we can only hope that she's changed for the better whilst being locked away. AEW news now as the company has plenty of former WWE names on their roster, and they could soon be adding Zelina Vega to the show. During this week's Dynamite, Andrade El Idolo sat down with Jim Ross, and the former NXT champion promised a surprise coming very soon. Given their past in WWE, many fans speculated that it'll be Vega, now known as the Trinidad, and on Twitter, she posted a thinking emoji, teasing that she'll be All Elite soon. It was previously reported that Trinidad is under a deal that keeps her from signing with AEW, and it was recently reported that she's on her way back to WWE, appearing at the Performance Center last month. It's also believed that WWE are looking at rehiring her husband Aleister Black, believing his release was premature. And whilst Tony Khan has said that he's interested in signing Vega, time will tell whether she joins Andrade once more. Back to WWE, and whilst this week's Smackdown featured a Hell in a Cell match, fans weren't tuning in to see it. Spoiler TV reports that this week's Smackdown failed to crack 2 million viewers, averaging 1.928 million across the 2 hours, and whilst this is a slight rise from last week's 1.85 million viewers, it's not a massive leap. It's certainly not a big enough leap considering that WWE was willing to give away a Hell in a Cell match for free, and we'll have to see what the company tries next in their ongoing efforts to get fans tuning in once again. More from SmackDown as before the show aired, North American Champion Bronson Reed and NXT Champion Karrion Kross were brought to the Thunderdome for a series of dark matches. Reed faced Robert Roode whilst Kross took on Dolph Ziggler, and it appears the NXT Champion impressed the right people. PW Insider reports that though there's no plans to progress with Reed's call-up at this time, there have been talks about Kross and Scarlett being brought back to SmackDown next week, possibly to do some promos. Despite being NXT champion, Kross's call-up to the main roster seems imminent, and given Vince McMahon's recent edict that he's looking for characters over wrestlers, the demonic pairing of Kross and Scarlett are no doubt on his mind. Together, the pair have done a great job in NXT, and during Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said that Kross is getting fast-tracked to the main roster, adding that this has been the plan ever since he signed with WWE. NXT TakeOver In Your House ended with Kross retaining his NXT Championship over every top star in NXT, and time will tell how the real-life couple operates when they make their televised main roster debut sooner rather than later. More from AEW as the company was forced to change their taping plans in June thanks to the NBA playoffs, but they don't plan on being in that situation again. Next week's Dynamite will air on Saturday and be a live show headlined by an AEW World Title match between Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy, and the company will get back on the road after that. Fightful reports that AEW has no plans to air any more taped episodes for quite a while after filming all the June episodes in the Friday to Sunday after Double or Nothing. AEW is getting back on the road in July and back to their Wednesday night 8 p.m. time slot on TNT, which will be a welcomed return to normal after watching the show at 10 p.m. for the past few weeks. And we're ending with Macho Man Randy Savage, who inspired countless wrestlers with his colorful look and incredible skills, and also inspired a boxer too. This week, Blair Cobbs made an epic Macho Man-themed entrance, complete with theme song, as he made his way to the ring to fight Brian Solomon last night. Cobbs was channeling some macho madness as he defeated Solomon in the 5th round to keep his undefeated streak intact, and given that Cobbs, the self-proclaimed Flair, threw in some woos for good measure, the boxing star is clearly a huge wrestling fan. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.